I'm Lacey, and we had the Worldreader and the internet as our service project. Okay, so I'm hoping you guys will work with me a little and just think about what your lives would be like if you didn't have internet. And can you just like name some reasons, like throw them out, like how the internet is beneficial to you as a student? Anyone? Yeah?
Research.
Research, cool. Anyone else? Think of social media, anything? Email, yeah, so like communication.
I wouldn't know what was going on if I didn't have the internet.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so those are just some things that we also thought of. Just think of like how much the internet helps you communicate with the outside world, communicate with your friends. It's integral as a student for research. So ultimately, not having the internet, as this school does not have the internet, it's ultimately hindering their performance as students, and it's limiting their potential and their growth. So ultimately, the internet is an important learning tool. So part one of our project, it was divided into the Worldreader and the internet. So the Worldreader, it's a nonprofit organization whose mission is to bring digital ebooks to children and families in underprivileged areas. And it's a sustainable program because it's donor funded and it works with a number of organizations. So it's constantly able to supply families with books. And I have a video of the impact of having books, how it impacts children's lives, but I'm not going to show it yet unless we have enough time at the end. But ultimately, it just shows how it's increased the literacy rates and made reading more enjoyable for children, which is ultimately something we want to do in order to increase literacy and knowledge in the students' lives. So our plan of action for the Worldreader, first we decided you need to apply for the Worldreader program, and due to how lengthy the application was and how in detailed it was, we decided it would be best for Tamara to fill out the application from the Tippy Toes Foundation perspective. And currently our status is still pending on the application. There's normally a 2.5-month turnaround period, so we're approaching the 2-month period, so hopefully we'll hear back from them soon. And then our step 2 was to come up with some things that we would need to figure out, such as the cost, sustainability, accessibility, and supplies. So details of the Worldreader, one Worldreader kit has 50 e-readers, so 50 books, and has 5,000 digital books on the e-reader. The prices vary, but the base price is $9,600, which we converted into Rand. And additional services may be necessary for more cost, setup and other supplies necessary. However, they do ship to non-U.S. destinations, which would be necessary since we're working in South Africa. And a Worldreader team member would be available to set up the programs and teach the students about them in the school and educate them if we were to be accepted. So part 2 was the internet, and our goal was to get internet for the primary school in South Africa, and this would give children access to information from around the world, would increase their literacy as well, and it's a necessary component for the Worldreader program because it requires 3G or Wi-Fi. Our plan of action for the internet, so first we had to figure out if the school even wanted internet access, because even though we think it's important, it might not have been a priority for them. So we reached out to the principal at the school and asked her what she thought, and she did approve the program. Secondly, we had to deal with a tree issue and figure out internet providers. The trees proved to be our first major roadblock in these projects because there are 4 massive trees, Tamron tells us, in the area that we have to cut down in order to get internet access. And the principal has looked into removing the trees, and it costs 15,000 Rand. So that's pretty expensive. So it's unlikely for that to be happening. So right now the internet is also at a standstill. Regardless, we still looked into internet providers. So Tamron sent us a list of internet providers in South Africa, and she sent us this really long list. that we looked through. Our step 3 was choosing an internet provider and looking at possible internet packages. So after reviewing all the internet providers, we chose MWEB, and that was actually the one that Tamarin recommended as well. And we looked through the packages on the website, and based on the cost of the package, what was available currently at the schools, and what was needed for these packages to be installed, we chose this package. And so these are just some of the things it comes with. I'm not going to go through all of them. So what was needed for the package was an existing phone line and a modem, as well as like an internet-enabled device such as a computer or a laptop. And based on what they have, this was really doable, considering that they already have a phone line, and they do have a computer lab, but they don't have them set up due to the lack of internet. We talked to Tamarin, and she doesn't believe that they have a modem, so that is something that we would have to provide for them, but this provider adds it on for an additional fee. So based on this, the total budget, so Worldreader with 3G costs $1,300, which we then converted into Rand, and the Worldreader with Wi-Fi is $9,600. In terms of the internet, per month, based on the package that we chose, it'd be $199 per month, so it'd be a recurring fee, and then plus the modem, which Tamarin doesn't think that they have, so that would be another additional one-time fee of $43, which is also converted into Rand, and then the tree removal is an additional $1,000. So it was a pricey budget.
Okay, so for implementation, if this project does get done, if we get approval by the Worldreader, first it would just have to be sent to the schools, and then a person from the Worldreader program would go to the school and help them figure out how to use the readers and help the children understand what's going on, because obviously they've never had internet, so they wouldn't know what they were doing on the e-reader, and they probably never seen like an iPad type situation, so that would help them out. And then the internet, they would have to come and install at the school, and the company would cut down the trees, hopefully. Length of time needed, as you know, the time for the Worldreader program to get back to us was about 2 months, and so far, once we're in South Africa, it would be about 2.5 months, so we're still waiting, but hopefully they'll get back to us, and maybe even the next class will be able to implement this and get this through. So the time's been pretty lengthy, and if we're accepted, somebody will come and teach the school, so that'll take an additional time. They'll have to set up a date. For the internet, we're also, as we know, waiting for the trees to be cut down and the company to come and set it all up. For the schedule, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but basically waiting for the trees, waiting for the money to go, and the trees cost a lot, so we need to get the money down there, and it's a costly project, so hopefully we'll be able to fundraise that money, but if not, maybe some donations will come in, and then waiting for the acceptance and the internet again. Our main goal is just to get internet access to the school, because without the internet, we would have to use a more expensive Worldreader program, or more expensive section of the Worldreader program. So basically, just getting the internet there is the first step. Once we get the internet, the Worldreader, hopefully when we get accepted, if we get accepted, we'll connect and everything will follow through. That's our main goal for communication, awareness, and education.
Also, we mentioned that they have a lot of books there already, so we want to focus more on getting the internet, because that provides them with a wider variety of services, whereas the Worldreader is purely for books.
Right. And since the library has so many, it's not that big a deal if we don't get the Worldreader. It'd just be nice to have, especially with the internet connecting, and they can carry that around. Our regulations, the school needed to approve the internet and the Worldreaders. First, we have to make sure the school wanted it, because we don't know. We think internet's a great idea, as Lacey said, but maybe they weren't interested in it since they have the books, and maybe they just want to get resources from people around them, not the internet. But they did want it, so we were trying to look into that. And then the land is privately owned by a church. The church cannot help us remove the trees, but they also think it's a good idea to get them removed. And since it's not government land, that's not affecting us stopping to get the trees removed. To check up, hopefully when this project is implemented, hopefully when, then we'll be able to check up if the school is still getting internet access, if more money needs to come in, if the digital books are still working, if they've broken, maybe we can replace them, if the internet's working with the digital books, because that is a package deal, and then if they can sustain the monthly internet fees, or if we need to send more money over. Do we need to raise more funds, as I said, and hopefully they'll be sustainable. Challenges, the semester didn't end up being enough time for us to complete it because we haven't gotten back from the Worldreader program, so that takes a lot of time, as we said. Communicating with Tamna for information was a problem just because the time difference, and then she has to figure out, she has to get the questions answered before she can get back to us. That took a while, waiting for approval and results, and then they're very costly projects, as Lacey showed in the budget, so that's been a tough one to raise all the funds, although our projects have been successful in that. And then the trees, as she said, are very large, so that's a major roadblock. And then success, we've done some success. It's just because the project's not being implemented this semester. We have gotten a lot of research done, so when the project does get implemented, they'll have a lot of information regarding the internet access. The package we think was best, and they can look at that, and if they don't think it is, then they have the list of websites available to them that we could send them to look into it even further. And then hopefully the application's already sent, so hopefully that'll get accepted soon, and that'll be a success as well. In conclusion, although we are currently at a standstill, hopefully we'll be approved shortly, and then the next class that goes, or if they do the January trip, they can get that done even faster. And then it's been a valuable learning experience. We didn't realize how much time it would be, or how difficult this project may be with the communication and the cultural differences. So now that we know, maybe when we travel again, we'll understand the differences, and the future classes we can communicate with them and help them, hopefully. And that's the reference.
I just have a stupid question. Is a Worldreader a Kindle like?
Yes,
Basically,
it comes with 50.
It's exactly like a Kindle?
A Worldreader is a Kindle, and then it's like a Worldreader kit is what they provide. So it's like 50 of the Kindles basically, and then the Kindles come with a bunch of books
Okay, gotcha.
on them already.
Okay. Emily, you have a question?
On the Worldreader, what are they going to learn? Is it just reading, and will the languages be
There's-
English or?
There's South African books on the Worldreader.
Oh,
Like, it
okay.
depends on where
Okay.
the Worldreader is bringing the
Yeah.
Kindles to, that they download specific amounts of.
I wanted to be able to show everyone the
Yeah,
application
we have
because it's
links and everything.
really lengthy, but we don't have enough time really. But on the application, it asks you to specify like what language is your preference, and like what your preference like book type is. So since it's a primary school, we would
Children's
make the
books.
books like children books and like any other books that the teachers felt were necessary or useful.
And then they have the internet on it as well, hopefully. So,
What would be the,
Oh.
sorry.
Steph?
How are you gonna raise the money?
Yeah.
I mean,
we didn't realize how much it was in the beginning, so that's.
based on how astronomical the pricing is for these, it's unlikely that we'll be able to raise the funding for this.
It'll take
It would
time.
be a long-term process, and since our class has only raised probably like not even like a quarter of what would be necessary, I don't think it's a likely
I think it would just
process.
take time, like our class, like if we have any leftover funds, would go to the next like pot of money that's saving up for this project if we get accepted.
But also, the Worldreaders, like, they do, like, you could have donations from large corporations, but
You can get sponsored.
Yeah, you
in
can
the
get
applications,
sponsors.
It asks you.
and we also reached out to the internet provider to see if like they did any deals with schools, but
They
they
haven't
never
gotten back
got
to
back to us. So
Can you just explain how you initially, when you first started, reached out for donations?
we sent out letters. I reached out to Skechers and stuff like that, and we were formulating a letter to raise funds that we were going to send out to corporations.
What would be the, can you just reiterate again, the total cost for the internet per month? Did you?
Per month, it was $199, like US dollars. I don't remember what it was in. Do you want me to look at Rand? It was I'm pretty sure it was $199 monthly, and then there was an additional one-time fee for the modem.
And then also, you guys talked about that you ran out of time. If you were to give advice to another group, because you did have a very challenging kind of project, what are some things that, what are some ways that you could have gone about it in a different way now, knowing what you know and how long it took? And what are some of the challenges that you guys had with putting it together? Like, what would you have done differently or recommend to other students?
I think with the application, I know we didn't send it like right away at the beginning of the semester when we first got our projects assigned to us, because I don't think we realized how much time it would take or that there would be such a lengthy application process. So I would really tell them to like check up on everything that you need to do in the very beginning and making sure that you have time to do everything. And if not, maybe just try to like get everything as much as possible get done in the beginning, and then focus on like the big sections like fundraising for the pricey fee.
I think also though now since we've done so much research, it will be
Right.
kind of more feasible for future classes to pursue it. It could be something that we start raising funds for now, and like whatever we have left over, if anything from this trip, goes to the next trip, and it is a continuous process until eventually maybe we do have enough funds for it. But it's kind of hard to say what we would do differently when we face so many roadblocks that weren't really in our control, that we couldn't really do anything about. Like, can't do really anything about like massive trees in South Africa that can't be cut down.
I want to see these trees. I'm picturing like really large trees, but I don't know.
Any other questions? Nice, very nice. Ladies.
Thank you.